Welcome to Crunchy Stewardship. I'm Chrissy Rombach.
And I'm Katie Fiola-Jones. We're cousins on a mission to honor God by stewarding our health spiritually, mentally, and physically.
From ancestral nutrition and natural remedies to biblical finance and holistic health, we are digging deep into how God intended us to live.
So grab yourself a raw milk latte and join us as we unpack the ins and outs of crunchy stewardship.
Hey, welcome back to Crunchy Stewardship. You are here with Chrissy and Katie once again, and today we are continuing with our conversation about kids. We're kind of moving away from pregnancy and birth and kind of looking towards as the kids start to get older, specifically in toddlerhood. What are some common ailments that they face on a regular basis by being children? And what are some things that we can do as parents to support them in that? So I'm really looking forward to today's episode. I'm going to be learning a lot for my future parenthood. In case you haven't been listening to us or you're new to our channel, Katie has experience being a mom. She has a 2-year-old at home, and she has had foster children in the past. And I am expecting my first child in November. So we are very excited and looking forward to that, but there's a lot to learn. So this episode will be a lot of me learning and Katie teaching, and I might be asking questions, and it'll be great. But before we get started, we are going to kick it off with our random revelation, which is just a fun fact that may or may not be related to the topic at hand for the episode. But something interesting that Katie learned or that I learned throughout the week. So Katie, what is your random revelation this week?
So my random revelation this week actually does kind of pertain to our conversation today. So I actually wrote down this fact while I was traveling this past week. We went back to Colorado for a wedding, and I brought with me the book that I'm reading right now. Well, actually, now I'm finished, but it's Homeopathic Medicine at Home. I can't remember if I talked about it on another episode or not, but I started it a little bit ago, and yeah, actually, I'll probably reference it a couple times in our conversation today as we talk about ailments, because actually this book has chapters on the one that I have it open to right now is like a happier baby with homeopathic care. And it literally is like listing some of these things that we're going to talk about. So I'll bring up some of those ideas, especially ones that we have tried with Malachi and that have worked. However, the random revelation today comes from, I don't remember. I think it was actually on the chapter that was talking about I think it was like a better womanhood or something like that. I think it was for females primarily. And they were talking about like menstrual cramps and headaches and different things. And so the random revelation is about aspirin and acetaminophen, which they warn against. And obviously in homeopathic medicine, they're kind of like, stay away from different drugs and different things. But I thought that this specific fact was going to be interesting, mostly the way that they explain some of these things, because I've kind of known in the crunchy space, like, oh, I probably shouldn't be taking these things anymore. But this kind of helped me understand a little bit more of why we should be trying to stay away from them. So it says, aspirin can cause asthma, skin eruptions, anaphylactic shock, damage to the gastrointestinal tract. Excessive use of aspirin can cause severe iron deficiency anemia, or damage to the bone marrow. And then acetaminophen, which is an aspirin substitute, it says, was given the same safety reading as aspirin with one difference. Aspirin overdoses produce such obvious distress that life-saving measures can be initiated at an early stage. The symptoms of an acetaminophen overdose may not be as apparent until after irreversible liver damage has occurred. And I was like, wow, that is really shocking, very interesting. I I kind of knew that these pain medications disrupted the gut lining, especially, and that I knew that, like, and I've heard that if you take too much of it, it can like create holes in your intestines and stuff. And maybe Chrissy, you could even speak more to that. But I read that fact and I was like, wow, this puts it like really concisely together as to why we should be avoiding some of these things. And then obviously in the book, it talks about homeopathic remedies to treat migraines and headaches, as well as like helping with menstrual cramps or any other kind of pains that we typically use these drugs for. And so, yeah, homeopathic stuff is very fascinating to me. We've been diving more into it ourselves. And like I said, I'll share some of the things that have been working for Malachi and Wes and I in our home. My mom, actually, shout out to Jan, she used, I can't remember what remedy right now, but one of the other things that homeopathic remedies are really helpful with are actually like mood related, not disorders necessarily. I mean, disorders is the word, but I hesitate to use that for my mother because I'm like, she doesn't have a disorder,
Symptoms.
but
Mood-related symptoms.
Thank you. We put down our family dog recently, and in the past, there have been times where, like, when she lost her mother, our grandmother, Chrissy and I's grandmother, she kind of like was in just a state of sadness, and it lingered for a long time, and she was.
Wait a minute. Did your mom get the dog before Grandma died?
No.
Okay,
No,
like,
that would have been
20 years ago.
No.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that would have been. The dog was really old. She, Nala, I was in my junior year of high school, so it would have been 2010 or 11 that we got her. And so, yeah, to 2026, she was an old dog. Really lived a good life, little tiny Pomeranian. But my mother was just nervous about being really, really sad and just kind of in that same funk that she was before, which is super natural for most of us to feel very sad when we've lost someone or something that we've loved for a long time. And so, yeah, that happened when our grandmother, her mom, passed away many years ago, but then she was going on this vacation coming up right after we put the dog down. And she was just like, I just don't want to be sad the whole time. And so anyway, I looked up her symptoms that she was feeling and the specific type of sadness, because this is what's interesting about homeopathy is that, you know, there's different types of sadnesses that you feel. Sometimes you feel more of like an anger sadness, but sometimes you just feel like deep sorrow where you're like sighing and you just want to lay on the bed. But sometimes the sadness, you know, provokes you to like be active or do things and you're trying to distract yourself. Sometimes you want sympathy, sometimes you don't. And so when picking a remedy, you have to be aware of a lot of these different things. So based on her like sadness kind of symptoms that she was having, I picked out a remedy, which I happened to have. It was in my kit that I have. And she brought it with her on her vacation and it worked and it helped. And she came back and she's like, these are my happy pills. They just help me make me feel happy. And I'm like, well, they're not like a happy pill because they're not a drug. You won't have any like side effects from this. So it's different, but it's helpful because it provokes your body into healing itself and everything. And yeah, so it worked for her too.
Okay, but now you need to tell us what it was.
I know. I have to remember. I'll have to look it up, and maybe by the end of the episode, because I'll have to do some digging back through. I literally will have to look through my Google Gemini stuff to find the conversation, which was like at least a month or two ago. So I'm like, it'll be a bit, but I can scroll through it. But it really, I mean, even if I share what the remedy was, if somebody out there is feeling sad, I wouldn't be like, go get that remedy. And here's a good one. Here's a good example of that too. So we'll talk about mosquito bites in our episode. What's one of the ideas that Chrissy had for common ailments, especially right now because it's summertime and getting lots of mosquito bites, especially us here living in the forest. It's like mosquito central. Ugh, it's terrible. But the remedy that helped Wes with his mosquito bites was actually different from the one that I just gave Malachi this morning for his mosquito bites, because the mosquito bites presented differently and at the different stage that they were in too. So like sometimes you get the ones that are really itchy, but they're really tiny and they're like a tiny bump, versus the ones that are more welt-like, that are hot to the touch. And then if you like scratch them open, maybe they like ooze a little. It's like just there's different kinds, or like your body really it responds differently to the bite. And so it depends on your specific reaction to the bite, and then how the symptoms are presenting. So it was just interesting because I gave Malachi the remedy that I had originally given Wes, and it was not really helping him. And I was like, oh man. And so then I went and re-looked, and I was like, oh, I actually think it's pulsatilla. And I gave him that this like mid-morning, and it worked. And I was like, whoa. So the one that I gave Wes was Ledum, I think is the way you pronounce it, Ledum. And that one worked for him and for me, just because we were at different stages and the mosquito bites presented differently for us than they did for Malachi.
Are these like topical creams for the mosquito bites, or like a tablet that you're taking?
So both actually. I have like a kit of homeopathic remedies that come in like little tablet forms, or like they're like these teeny tiny little, like they're made from like lactose and sugar basically. And then they have the remedy on the outside, like the imprint of the remedy. And so you put it under your tongue and they dissolve, and they work pretty quickly depending on the problem or ailment that you have, the symptoms that you have. Because sometimes like Malachi was actually, this is getting a little deep, but we've been working with a homeopathic physician. Have I told you about this?
Oh, you haven't. This is great.
Okay.
I love it.
Wow. Okay. I guess I didn't even realize this. So this is pertaining to our topic today, which we haven't really fully introduced, but yes, we are talking about childhood, like common childhood ailments today. And Malachi, when he was about a year old, was getting this like red ring rash around his mouth. And it wasn't necessarily like a specific food that was provoking the rash. It was basically whenever he'd eat, and then his whole face would look red and inflamed. And so if you look at pictures of him around his like first birthday, it just always looked like he was, when kids drink like red juice and they have like that ring around their mouth and it just stays there until
or if they get chapped lips and have been licking their lips all day long, and they just get that red ring. Oh yeah.
Okay, so it looks very similar to that. So picture that. But it wasn't like he wasn't licking his lips a lot. He wasn't really eating. Like it was basically any kind of time his mouth would get slightly damp around it. So I guess but he wasn't licking his lips. So it was just like dampness or food or whatever. And then it kind of went away. Actually, the first thing that treated some of that was acupuncture. So yes, when Malachi was 1 year old, it was like soon after his first birthday, he went to his first acupuncture appointment. I went to my very first one then too. So I was 30 to 31 years old. How old? Yeah. So yeah, different stages of life, but he went when he was 1 and I went when I was 30. And that actually helped. That also helped his constipation that he was dealing with at the time. And so that's one thing. But then a year later, it showed up again. And I was like, man, we didn't, like that helped, but I don't think we got to the root cause of whatever was making this happen. So I wanted to try homeopathy because I had been starting to look into it and stuff. So it's probably been a couple months. So I'm kind of shocked that I haven't mentioned this to you, Chrissy. Yeah, because we started before we moved into this house, which we moved in here March 1st. And I think it was like right before that.
Wow. I guess we've had other things to talk about.
Yeah, definitely. It is just kind of funny because I'm like, we've talked about homeopathy. I can't believe we haven't told you about Morris. Our homeopathic physician is in Australia. Australia. Where is he? Sydney, Australia. I'm like, where is he from?
Those are very different countries.
I know. I was like, wait a minute. Anyway, he's wonderful. And yeah, we found him through this homeopathic website called Homeopathy 24/7. And actually they have a Facebook group. And this is how I found out about them was I was just trying to join a Facebook group to like learn about homeopathy. But then they have like on-call homeopaths all the time. But you can post things in the Facebook group for free and people will get back to you, or you can do a consultation, which you do have to pay for. And so I did do it for Malachi. Long story short, we had been working with him. We did end up totally healing his face. His red rash thing has gone, and that has been wonderful. And then what's interesting with homeopathy, especially with like some of these deeper rooted issues, so like the skin thing was clearly a result of something else. Like we had to figure out what it was. So you kind of heal that part, but then sometimes the way that your body heals is like from the inside out. And so it starts like pushing the toxins out of your body, and then they tend to present in skin, like rashes or skin problems. I'm like,
Yeah, it's like usually the skin discrepancy, I guess you would say, or symptom is the result of something else that's much deeper inside the body. And that's one of the problems with conventional medicine is they would give you a steroid cream or
Yes.
A topical antihistamine or something like that. Just a topical treatment, which might work for the time being while you're using it for the issue, but you haven't gotten to the root cause. And so it's just going to continue to be an issue. Versus, like you're saying with homeopathy, is we're looking for the root cause of it so we can fix, is it a liver problem, or is it a kidney problem, or is it a gallbladder problem that is presenting on the skin that could be what's actually going on. And then if we fix that, then the skin will ultimately fix itself too.
That is exactly it. So thank you for putting it much more eloquently than I would.
You're welcome.
So things started healing, but then now he had developed like a rash on the back of his arm and kind of on the sides, like kind of like from his armpits down to the bottom of his ribs. So it was like these, just like the white bumpies where you could tell it's almost like drier skin, and it didn't seem like it was itching him or anything. And it was just there, and I would feel it when I'm like changing him or washing him in the bath and stuff, and it's just there. And I'm like, okay, this is weird. This started showing up right after we started taking the remedy. So told our homeopath, and he's like, oh yeah, this is a really good sign. That means it's working and things are going out and we're on the right track. So I was like, okay, great. This is perfect. So anyway, we've been doing different remedies. Basically, like you do the treatment and then you kind of reevaluate after a few weeks. And then if you need to change it or do a different potency of it, then you do that. And so he's done some different potencies. And then after a while, we got to a point where he was like, I think we have to kind of do like a vaccine detox because he likely still has some of the remnants of like heavy metals or any of the other toxins in there. So we need to kind of focus more on that. And so we did actually just kind of finish that remedy up, that like treatment like of it and stuff. It's basically like they give you a remedy and then they tell you how long and what frequency you need to be doing it. So yeah, we're kind of waiting to see. You basically take it and then you wait for a little bit because it's basically like putting it into motion, like you're kick-starting your immune system a little bit more. So anyway, I can't remember where we started with that and why I was going down this path, but
I think we were talking about mosquito bites.
Oh, yeah. And, okay, yes. So we did. So actually the remedy that our homeopath recently gave us to do for Malachi is also the same one that happens to be good for his type of mosquito bites, which is really interesting because one of the things we've kind of treated a lot of the skin ailment stuff right now. And this past like week or two, Malachi has been just like excessively saddened and like excessively like frustrated by things. Like just if you say no, he just gets into this deep sadness to things, and it's more than usual. And it's like, you know, sometimes it's hard as like a toddler parent, especially when you're like, is this a normal toddler thing or is this like excessive?
Yeah, it's like,
and
is
after
this
a while,
developmental?
exactly.
You know?
So, and sometimes it can be, and that's what's really interesting about homeopathy and really beautiful about it and really cool is that even if you take the remedy and it wasn't the right thing for the situation, or if it really is just a developmental thing and you didn't need necessarily remedy for it, there's no side effects to it. And so because the like amount of the remedy that's in each of the tablets is so small that your body can start to pick it up on more of a cellular level, but it's not going to respond negatively if you've like quote unquote overdosed, which oddly enough, there's not really a way to overdose with homeopathy. Like if you were to take all of the remedy like pills, which there's usually like, I don't know, like 80 or so, maybe more, depending on the size of your bottle, you can't like overdose on it. And so you can take them all, and that's considered one dose at that moment.
It's like trying to overdose on food. Like it's hard to do, you know? Mm-hmm. You know? Mm-hmm. Yeah. You might get a stomach ache, but you're not going to fall over and die from eating too much. Most of the time. Unless you have special situations.
And if it's certain types of foods that are really terrible for you and they just, I don't know. But anyway, other than homeopathy for mosquito bites, since I guess that's what we were talking about.
Well,
what do you do for mosquito bites?
I use peppermint oil for mosquito bites. I have not yet really dove into gone head first into homeopathy yet. Mostly just because first trimester was not easy, and I couldn't really do anything outside of work, and also like having a full-time job really just limits the amount of time I have to look up other things, you know? Mm-hmm. But I have been using peppermint oil actually for years now for my mosquito bites, and it has proven to be very helpful. I also used it for poison ivy. So it's good for poison ivy unless you have it all over your body like I did, because if you use too much peppermint oil all over your body, it can then make you nauseous. So that was my problem when I had the poison ivy. But with mosquito bites, you know, usually you have like 2 or 3 maybe at a time. I think the max I've had at a time was like 13 or something. That was horrible. But when you have less amount of mosquito bites, peppermint oil can be very helpful for just like a quick, put it on there, boom, it's gone. The itching is gone, and it's like cooling, so it feels nice also.
Yeah, I have actually never tried peppermint oil. I do know obviously it has lots of helpful benefits, properties to it. So I've been using Gemini a lot when I have situations, especially when I'm trying to figure out like a homeopathic remedy. But I've basically been like, I have it set up where I have this like, it's like acting as my homeopathic / naturopathic doctor. And so it recommends typically like a homeopathy remedy like that I could do, or it like also gives me kind of like a non-toxic home remedy that's natural that I could also try alongside of it. Because honestly, typically you could do both, and the like natural thing, like home remedy thing, is not going to like be disrupt. Like it's not going to go against disrupt. Thank you. I'm like really struggling for like good words today. It's not going to be bad for. I'm like, bleh. It doesn't sound very nice. It's not going to disrupt the homeopathic remedy that you are also taking. So I did the pulsatilla for Malachi. It also recommended a couple others, Apis mellifica, which is if they were large and puffy welts. His were more like, it had like this itchiness to the point where he had cut them open, and because they were like, it was like oozing and had like a weepiness to it, it recommended pulsatilla, especially because they were like on fire, itchy. You could just tell like how he was responding to it. The other one was graphites, which is like, they're like the Latin, I don't even remember Latin words for common things. Like coffee is actually a remedy, but it's like Kofia. Like it's basically coffee with an A at the end, but then it's pronounced different than coffee because of the language. And I think it's Latin, but someone could probably correct me on that. But that one was if it was
scientific name for these things.
no.
Interesting.
Yeah, I know. So those were some of the homeopathic remedies. And then for the actual like broken open wounds, it talked about, so we did have calendula, calendula is a homeopathic remedy. And we also have that in a like lotion form or like kind of like a cream. So it is considered homeopathy, but then they make it differently and then they put it into like a cream form. So the calendula was for those wounds. So you put that on, let it kind of dry up a little bit. It did also recommend like a baking soda mixture, like just baking soda and water as like a way to help with really itchy bites, but that was more if they weren't cut open already. So if you have like a regular mosquito bite and it's really itchy, before you break it open with your fingernails, you could do that. And then this was interesting, and I've heard of this, but I've never done it before until today. So we basically did like a raw honey Band-Aid. And so you put like a little dab of raw honey on the open wounds of the mosquito bites, and then I put a Band-Aid over it, which I had to end up putting one of these giant Band-Aids so he wouldn't peel it off. And then we put long sleeves on, even though it was like 84 degrees today. And I was like, you're not peeling these Band-Aids off because these mosquito bites are like torn open. It was really bad. But all of that worked, and he stopped itching within probably 10 minutes or so, and he was fine. And so I'm like, that's crazy. This is really cool that this is all helping and working, and it's all natural stuff.
I love that. Honey in general is a really great remedy for open wounds, period. That is one like quote unquote natural remedy that we do use in Western medicine is honey. Of course you can't just like get it from a jar and put it on your wound if you're in the hospital or something like that. It has to be like a special brand and medical grade and blah 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 blah. But yeah, we do use honey for wound healing. It has really great antimicrobial properties. It is sterile. It's really, really great for wound healing. Speaking of wound healing, let's just move on to our, typical kids, bumps, bruises, breaks. Well, not really breaks. If they're broken, go to urgent care and get an x-ray and get it, whatchamacallit, a cast. And if they need stitches, go get stitches. We're not trying to get away from that stuff. We're talking about little bumps and bruises.
Yeah, for emergencies, go to a doctor. And then I'd say broken stuff and big cuts are definitely
But broken toes,
emergent.
You can't do anything about that, so sucks.
That does suck.
Yeah. Anyways, so for other like little scratches or wounds, active skin repair is super, super helpful. It's talked about a lot in the crunchy world. Its main ingredient is hypochlorous acid, which is the same stuff that our white blood cells actually secrete when they are fighting pretty much any sort of pathogen in our body. So hypochlorous acid is antimicrobial, like antibacterial, antifungal, antiviral. It works on all of those. So active skin repair is like a small version. It comes in like a balm and a spray and a cream that you can use. Just keep it in your purse. Another version of this hypochlorous acid is Vashe, Vashe. It's also super helpful, but it just only comes in liquid form and comes in bigger bottles, so is less helpful, I guess, in like throwing it in your purse, and has a shorter expiration date once you open it. But both of those are super helpful. For the Vashe specifically, I actually recommended that one for my parents to use with our dog when he had a bunch of skin allergies. He was like licking his paws, just would not stop licking his paws. And so I recommended my parents use Vashe to kind of soothe his skin a little bit. And they said it worked for the dog. So I would recommend Vashe if you have like a larger area to cover. especially like it works for rashes. It works for like large scrapes, things like that. And it doesn't sting, which is really nice. And active
What
skin repair is
about
good for smaller spaces.
what about like large burns and stuff? Like if you were to, I mean, obviously, if you get severely burned, go to the emergency room, people. But
Yeah.
as far as like a protocol afterwards, is that like a thing? I don't know.
You probably could. I mean,
I
yeah.
don't know.
I don't see why not. We use it in wounds
It's
all the
just
time.
thought.
It cleans the wound, you know.
Yeah.
It's a good wound cleanser. So,
Cool. We love active skin repair. I have like 3 different bottles and I keep them around the house, and I usually bring them on vacation with us and stuff because Malachi is constantly falling and scraping. In fact, we keep one right near, like, so we keep one in his bathroom, and when he's on his little potty, he sits there and he like usually will look down at his knees and go boo boo, and he'll go spray. And I'm like, okay, let's spray your boo boo, because he just knows like I spray the boo boos with active skin repair and stuff. And yeah, he's just very, very used to it in our household. So falling down and bonking himself, he's just doing that all the time. If it's not like a wound that's like, if it's not an open cut or scratch or wound or anything like that, and he's just bonked himself really hard, which has happened, falling off the couch or like running into the table, falling off the couch and running into the table. Like these things happen, and tumbling down the stairs. That was bad. We do frankincense oil for that. It was something my friend had told me about when he was about a year old. And so all of his bruises and bonks and stuff, we put frankincense oil on that, and it helps. It's really awesome. And it usually helps the bruise either not show up in the first place if you put it on early enough, or it helps the bruise just go through its stages quicker to then heal. There are also homeopathic creams similar to like when you have cuts and stuff that you could do for bruises. I don't know off the top of my head which those are, but I ended up getting like a little kit that had like all these different homeopathic creams. And I do know there's one for like bruising. Because we've been using frankincense oil, like I just have been sticking with that so far, but that's where we're at for bruises.
you're going to need to post the links to these kits that you're talking about in the
Yes.
description of this episode, because I am about to turn around and buy those.
Yes. Actually, the creams I did end up getting on Amazon. It's like a teeny little travel pack, and it has like these cute little tiny little jars in it and they're like kind of travel tester sizes, which I wanted to test them out before I like go and buy a big thing of them, right? So anyway, yes, I will post a link to that. That one's on Amazon. The other ones actually, so it depends on the homeopathic remedy for me where I end up getting them. If it's like a generic, or not necessarily generic's not the right word. If it's like a common remedy that ends up fitting a lot of different ailments and stuff, then I would recommend, if you're just getting one vial at a time, there's a brand on Amazon it's like Boiron. Boiron is the brand.
Boiron.
Yeah, thank you. My homeopath recommends, if I'm going to get anything on Amazon, get that brand only. It's a highly trusted brand. He said there's a bunch of different ones on Amazon. Of course, like anything else you find on Amazon, there's like all these different options that are kind of like the off-brand, like quote unquote knockoff ones. He's like, you could try those, but I don't recommend those. And they tend to be very affordable. The place that he recommends getting like larger, like if you want to buy like a kit for your house and have kind of like all of them together, if you're ready to get something for your house, or the place that's like, he also recommends getting the more advanced / like they're more specific or like specified or specialized remedies that are either like you just don't use them as like frequently or commonly. So the place that he gets them or recommended getting them from is, and I have no idea how to pronounce this, it's like Hahnemann Labs, HAHNEMANN. like Hanneman. Anyway, the person that this is named after is actually like the founder of homeopathy. Basically, his name is Samuel Hahnemann, however you pronounce his last name. So that's kind of like his original thing, and the company has existed since the 1800s, 1700s or whatever, whenever he discovered it. So that's where we get a lot of our other ones, and that's where I've gotten my large kit. So I'll post links to those so people can find them and check them out if they are curious.
I just Googled it. There's a picture of Mr. Samuel guy, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann, on this website, and it's a painted photo. So that gives you a little idea of how old his company is and how successful homeopathy is. Because, if you think about Western medicine, it really is like the last 100 years or so that we've been doing Western medicine stuff. But if you think of homeopathy, like it's been around for thousands of years, thinking like Eastern medicine, what they did during the Middle Ages, during like Renaissance times, they used homeopathy for all of these things. And so, and it works. It's a real thing. God created food as medicine. God created plants as medicine, and so we can use them as medicine.
I did actually learn that the royal family in England, they have a like royal homeopath, or like they have a specific person who is like their homeopath, basically. I learned that in a book.
I would love to be that person.
Right? Isn't that so cool?
That sounds like the best job in the world, but also could be one of the most stressful jobs in the world, because you kind of need to fix all of their ailments like immediately. Like they're not allowed to have a stuffy nose.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, I have never seen any of our government officials with a stuffy nose or a cough or something like that.
Yeah. What about when what's his face? Why am I forgetting our previous president's name right now?
Biden.
Thank you. I don't know what's going on with my head right now. Yeah, there was a point where he had COVID, at least, and was like, you didn't really necessarily seem like being sick per se, but
no, I think it just made it into the news. He has COVID and he's not dying.
Yeah, I was just
so everybody knows. All right, let's move on to a few other ailments so we can actually get through all of these. Let's see. What did you use for diaper rash for Malachi?
Primarily active skin repair. Once we discovered it, I used it. It's sensitive enough for those areas, so you could just spray it, which is super great. We'd also use it like on scratches on his face and stuff. So for any of those things, I've also used like a tallow based like diaper balm. And then another thing that I did really like at one point was, what is that brand? It's like Earth Mama.
Yes, I have Earth Mama diaper balm, and yes. I have Primally Pure baby balm.
That'd be good.
Which is also tallow based on my baby registry. So I'm hoping I get both of them so I could see which one I like better. But I think both of them are tallow based.
Some babies do respond differently to different diaper creams, which is interesting. The nice thing about active skin repair is, again, because it works for all like skin ailments like rashes, dry skin, scratches, that kind of stuff. I typically would use that, and then if Malachi seemed like he was like, if his skin was just like really dry and irritated and stuff, then I would put like more of a tallow kind of cream that was a little bit more soothing and hydrating with it. So it's like the active skin repair would kind of help to cleanse and repair the skin, but then the other like diaper balm more would help with hydrating and just making it feel soothed. But honestly, I will be completely honest. We're we're very blessed that Malachi did not struggle with a lot of diaper rash at all. And so using any of it was pretty rare. In fact, the main thing that he actually got, because we used cloth diapers, and so that may be why he didn't get as many rashes, because he didn't have responses to the chemicals in diapers and things. But the thing that he would get was if I would put the diapers too tight, it would like leave little like red like marks around his legs, and then it like kind of would rub, and it would be more like a rubbing thing versus like a diaper rash, if that makes sense. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
I've also noticed just in general for myself, I haven't tried this on children because I don't have kids, but for myself, I have noticed that like a tallow-based cream, I have a tallow skin cream that I love. I will use it one day and get compliments like, Chrissy, your face is glowing. I'm like, oh, thanks. It's my new tallow cream. But I have noticed I also use it on dry skin, and it works really, really well. Like one application, dry skin is gone. And so that's been super helpful also. Another thing that I found is helpful for dry skin is grapeseed oil. Just rubbing just a little bit of grapeseed oil over the dry skin is super helpful. It just absorbs super fast into the skin. But I think tallow is probably superior because it has a similar fat content as our skin itself. So our bodies just tend to absorb it better.
Yep. Yeah, it's really soothing. I have one that I use when my skin is extremely dry too. What do we want to talk about next?
Well, we're talking about diapers. Let's continue in that area. Constipation.
Yes. This is something that we had a lot of experience with. Malachi did struggle with a decent amount of constipation to the point where the poor little thing, he like had this giant poop at one point that like kind of like cut him. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like, it's like almost like the tearing of an episiotomy.
Like gave him
like,
an anal fissure.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the technical term. and I'm sure it like hurt like heck for him, and it bled just a tiny bit. Like it, again, it wasn't like major, but it looked very painful. And then after that, I think it like scared him into pooping in general. And so then he would hold his poops, and I could just tell like he was not letting it out. And it would like, there's just that natural urge, and you could just see his little body like tensing up against it. Anyway, the problem that he was probably dealing with was like a softening of the like poop itself. And it needed to be softer so it didn't like hurt coming out, just being like a little rock or something. So he was pretty sufficiently hydrated, but he definitely needed more what is it, fiber?
Yeah.
Huh?
Well, fiber is the bulking agent.
So less fiber. It was basically needed something to do more. Oh, that's right. He was recommended to okay, so here's a few that I actually didn't write down, so I'm like just remembering. Butter, eating lots of good, healthy butter, like grass-fed.
So he needed slippery stuff.
Yes. And I'm trying to think of the other thing. Now I can't remember it. But anyway, butter was the one. We were doing lots of butter. And then in general, this wasn't necessarily for his situation, but it was something that was recommended to me, and we tried a little bit, and it kind of helped. But there's like the 3 P's, and they are prunes, which most people know prunes are helpful for pooping. But then the others are pears and peaches. And so we did a lot of those. He didn't really like pears at the time, but he ate the peaches. And then the other things we did were magnesium cream. So we would do magnesium cream on his belly, especially right before he would. It also helps you just relax in general. So it makes you feel like more relaxed and sleepy for bed. It relaxes your muscles. And so we would do it right before a nap or like he was going to sleep in general. And because he was so asleep too, he would end up like pooping in his sleep a lot of times because the magnesium cream just helped to relax everything.
How convenient.
So that was super helpful. Exactly. And he would like wake up and be all poopy. And then the other thing was chiropractic that we did try. We went on his very first birthday. It was like that morning on his birthday, we had an appointment. And unfortunately for our situation, it actually didn't help or work for him. But I do know for many people, for babies getting that adjustment, our chiropractor at the time told us, like, this is called the baby blowout adjustment, because oftentimes they'll like adjust the baby's hips a certain way and then all of a sudden they'll just explode. And unfortunately that did not happen for Malachi at that point, but it is an option for people to try. And then the last resort that we did do when it got real bad and he was just in so much pain, and it had been I'd like 10 days or something that he had not pooped.
10 days.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Which we were told by our doctor that the point when they really start to worry, or at least that he really starts to worry, is 2 weeks. And I was like, I don't want to let him go
What?
2 whole weeks. I know.
I
He's
start
like,
worrying with people at like 2 days.
okay, well, adults are different for sure.
Yeah, that's true. But kids are supposed to poop more than adults, aren't they?
Yeah, but I guess like breastfed babies tend to have very strange fluctuating poops in general. And so he was like, it's actually kind of common for babies to kind of go through these stages, especially because he was just starting to eat solid foods. And so our doctor like wasn't super concerned. He's like, by the time that it gets to 2 weeks, then it's like, okay, we really need to do something. But Malachi was in so much pain. So I went out and bought some suppositories for him, which I actually did not know about them until my mother was like, you need to just get these. And I was like, what is this? But it's basically like
Melting wax bullet.
Yeah, like little wax tablet kind of things. They're like an inch or so long.
I liken them to a 9mm bullet, quite honestly.
Yes.
Like when I was explaining it to my patients in the hospital, I'm like, picture a 9mm except made of wax. And like it's even the same shape too, with the pointed end and then with a little blunted end. Yeah.
So, and you just like stick it up the little butt, and it's supposed to help draw in more water, which was definitely one of the problems with his constipation.
Well, it does that, and also it melts once it's in the inside, and then it coats whatever's in there to make it more slippery to come out.
And then just the pressure too, you think about, because that hit for him, actually part of the pressure, like going into it poop just started coming out pretty quick, which
That's
was
great.
like just nasty when you're like, I'm right here.
He's going to listen to this episode when he's 16 and be like, Mom, I can't believe you said that about me.
I know. I'm sorry, son. It's just a part of life. And
it is. And we need to normalize conversations about poop because they tell you a lot about your health. And I've said that before.
Yes.
If you've been listening, you've heard me say talking about poop is very important and you should talk about it more frequently. And it should be a topic of conversation that we're not afraid to talk about because everyone does it and it's part of being human. And it's supposed to happen, guys.
I was super worried Malachi was going to struggle with the potty training, like the poop part of potty training. And he actually had more success with pooping on the potty before he had more success with peeing. And I'm saying success in the sense that he started telling us when he had to poop before he started telling us when he like had the urge to pee. And so he would come over and be like, he'd like whisper to me, Mama, pee-pee. And I'm like, you have to go potty? And he'd be like, yeah. And then he would immediately go to the potty and then poop. And I'm like, buddy, this is poop. It's not pee. But I'm like, he's telling me like when he had that specific urge, which is just so funny. And it took him forever to get to a point where he would say that he had to pee. But now he does, and now he's just always so excited to pee, and he just gets, pee and poop, and he just sits there, and he's like, yay, because
That's
we would
great.
celebrate it. And
I love
anyway.
Big time celebrations right here.
Yes.
Okay, I have to ask Crunchy Mom, what is his prize for going poo-poo on the potty?
Ooh, nothing.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We did things pretty differently, and I think, honestly, it's why we had such quick success with him was
because he was potty trained in like 1 week, right? Just like boom, 1 week, kind of mostly done.
So we did the Go Diaper Free training, which the lady who does Go Diaper Free actually teaches the like elimination communication method for infants, so basically like Chrissy, once you pop your baby out, you could start working on elimination communication and your baby could be fully potty trained by like 1 year old. And I mean, obviously they're not walking, so they would tell you they have to go potty.
I'm going to be a
Yeah, it'd be
working mom.
hard.
I don't know how realistic that is for me, but I love the idea.
Yes. But this lady has another training that's more for training toddlers. So once Malachi started walking, I basically set the goal of like, when he starts walking, I'm going to potty train him and I'm going to use this method. And there's no rewards. It's just kind of like teaching them, like when it's coming out, this is where we put the pot, like where we put our pee-pee, and this is where we put our little poops and stuff. And we did the whole commando thing for like a week. We probably did it for like a week and a half. He definitely started picking things up like at day 7 was like he finally started picking it up and like things started clicking. And then I would say we were pretty decently potty trained within a month. And then now it's just been all of the like refining skills. Like he doesn't know how to pull his own pants down properly yet. So he's not like independent. So it's kind of like potty trained and then potty independent is kind of the next stage. And so yeah, we did travel days back in April and then just this month in late May, and all of those travel days, no accidents. And we didn't do diapers like on the plane or in the car or anything. And he had success. And it was like, it just felt so good because you're like, wow, we've been doing this and like you're there. And so when he was on the plane, he would turn to me and he'd go, Mama, pee-pee. And then we'd get up and go to the potty. And he actually really likes the airplane potties, which is crazy because they're so noisy and terrifying sounding, but he loves it. And I'm like, I don't know, you're strange.
Power to him. I love that. Let's talk about a few more things about constipation. Once the kids get older, like maybe older toddlerhood into elementary school, it's really easy to make smoothies with constipation aids in them. So smoothies with chia seeds or flax seeds in them are super helpful. Flax seeds are more so in terms of fiber, so giving you that bulking agent. Chia seeds are slippery, and so it gives you that slippery agent. So you need to figure out which one you need. Do you need the bulk or do you need the slippery? And that is going to be helpful for you in that instance. Currently, in pregnancy, I have traded my nausea for constipation. So chia seeds have been my best friend. I've been making chia seed pudding, and then when I run out of chia seed pudding, I quite literally just like soak some chia seeds in milk and just drink a glass of milk with chia seeds in them. And it's been working, and it keeps me not in pain. And so I'll take it. Just like a little bit a day. It's all you need. And it's great.
I think I do remember that because actually around that time when Malachi was struggling with constipation, we actually have pictures of him having like a chia seed pudding that I made. And it's a really creepy picture because he was eating it and he's like a 1-year-old. So it's all over his face, but it's all the tiny little chia seeds all over his face. And for me, it would like is hilarious. But then my mom was like, what is going on with his face? It's so scary looking. And I'm like, it's chia seeds. And then I looked at it again. I was like, it does look kind of creepy. It looks like little bugs all over his face.
Ew.
So I think I had heard that. And then I tried it, obviously. But
That's funny. That's funny. All right. Now for the opposite problem, diarrhea. So this one is less one that you really want to remedy right away because diarrhea is usually the result of your body trying to purge something. So it, like skin issues, it's a secondary problem. And so with diarrhea, you want to support the body as it is getting things out and give it the opportunity to get as much out as quick as possible to end the diarrhea. Obviously, this is if the baby's like not on antibiotics, because antibiotics can cause diarrhea, or not on homeopathic stuff wouldn't cause diarrhea, but there's a lot of like medications that can. And so this is if the diarrhea is caused by a illness of some sort, like the 24-hour bug, or they ate something bad. You want to just get it out, flush it out. So the biggest thing is just water, because it makes them so dehydrated. It makes all of us really dehydrated, because the water isn't being reabsorbed into the body through the colon. It's just going straight out with it. So water helps to keep them hydrated and also helps to flush the gut faster. So that's super helpful. And then also probiotics, prebiotics, and postbiotics to help reestablish a healthy gut microbiome. So a lot of times with diarrhea, it's because the gut microbiome gets off kilter. You get more bad bacteria than you have good bacteria. And then all of a sudden, your body starts purging because it doesn't know what to do. So if you load up with the good bacteria, the probiotics, prebiotics, postbiotics, then they will work to overwhelm the bad bacteria and reestablish the healthy balance that you need. So those ones, unfortunately, you shouldn't just like end it, because it's usually there for a purpose. And it's kind of like a fever. Like, we want to support the fever, help it to work its way out and work its way through to allow the body to fight whatever is going on as best as possible. Speaking of fevers, Katie, you want to share what you have done for fevers with Malachi? I feel like we've talked about a lot of these already, but
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about them in some other episodes, but definitely good to put them together so that way if you're looking for specific childhood things, they're all in one place. But yeah, for fevers, the main thing is that we don't necessarily try to completely stop it, because similar to diarrhea where it's like trying to just flush everything out, the fever is like a symptom that something is wrong and it's trying to basically burn off all of the bad stuff inside of you. So when you are sick, that is its way of defending itself against the germs.
what we learned in nursing school about fevers is that while they're still in an okay range, like below 104, 105, it's your body's way of creating an unsusceptible environment for the bacteria to like kill it. And
Yeah.
makes the bacteria not want to be there. Makes it leave. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. It's like, again, it's similar to like skin stuff too, where you don't want to just get rid of that symptom because it's just going to mask what's going on. It could also delay healing if you just cut off the fever with like a Tylenol, and so we don't use any pain meds for it. Yes, it's uncomfortable for Malachi, but we basically help support the body. Again, water for everything is usually a really good answer. And so lots of liquids, especially with electrolytes or just, mineral salt, which is like natural electrolytes. So we do lots of that. The one thing that has really helped, especially when he like has really high fevers and really uncomfortable, is like an Epsom salt bath with lime oil. So we do about like 2 cups worth of the Epsom salt crystals, and then you put like 10 drops of lime oil in the salt, mix it together, let it sit for like 10 minutes or so, and then dump it into like a lukewarm bath. Again, you're just kind of trying to help support the body. So you don't want it hot and you don't want the bath cold. You just kind of want it like a lukewarm, it's comfortable enough.
A comfortable sitting temperature.
Yeah, exactly. And then you sit in there for no more than 20 minutes because your body will start detoxing things. But after 20 minutes, your body will actually start reabsorbing things. So 15 to 20 minutes is like the sweet spot in the bath. And that goes for any kind of Epsom salt soak or anything. You don't want to sit in it too long because then you just start reabsorbing all the stuff you just detoxed. So got to take them out. And then the other thing too is if there's like when he had a 103-degree fever a few months back, we did coconut oil. So that's like the base. And then you put a few drops of peppermint oil or lime oil and then mix that together and then rub it on the bottom of the baby's feet and then put socks on. And it's kind of like it helps to draw out toxins. And so that's kind of what we're doing, is like helping support the body in its elimination of just the bad stuff in there. And so, yeah, making it not a good, fun environment to live in. And so, yeah, you want the fever to stay there. But I do, like, some people are like, oh, you should smoke it out and like bundle them up and heat them up really high. There's definitely, if it's like a low fever, I've heard that that's like okay, but if they already have a pretty high fever, you don't necessarily want to make it hotter, because then that could cause like brain damage, and that's like when it is dangerous and scary. So
brain damage and future fertility damage, because it can damage sperm and eggs.
Interesting.
Yeah, so
well,
keep that in
there's
mind.
another reason.
If you want grandbabies.
Yeah, if you want grandbabies, protect them.
Protect the future grandbabies. But
How about
we're talking
the last one?
Fevers that high is like 105, 106. That's when you really need to get help and go to the hospital and get care. Or go to the doctor or something like that. But
we do, like, I mean, because everybody's had a fever where you feel chilly, but then you, to the touch, you are hot. And so, yes, put your little baby or your toddler or your kid in something that's going to help them feel cozy, because they do feel really chilly. And a lukewarm bath will also help with that. But just supporting their body and helping them feel comfortable through it. And we talked about this before, but like, don't do Gatorade and that kind of stuff, because even though it does have like electrolytes in it, they also have a lot of not great stuff in it. And so stay away from that. Just do kind of natural stuff. I also know that cucumbers can help. Cucumbers are very naturally cooling. And so it does kind of help cool the body without necessarily stopping the fever. And so that can be kind of soothing. I think like also like maybe blueberries. I'm trying to remember. We often do cucumbers because Malachi also really likes cucumbers.
It's like, but there's some other cucumbers?
Yeah, like eating the cucumber. Yeah. It's a Chinese medicine thing. Actually, Josh Axe mentioned it in his that one book, the
Biblio
like natural. No, that might have been mentioned in there. Yeah, it's like natural remedies one or whatever.
Is it the white cover with the green backing?
Yeah, that one.
That one.
Exactly. That book, everybody, you know.
It's got some flowers on the cover.
Yeah. But he mentioned it, and it's like the whole like hot versus cool. Like if your body's hot, here's the cooling foods. And if you're cool, here's the warming foods. And so the cucumber with other things, which makes sense. You think about like cucumber water and how refreshing it feels. Like it's cooling, right? And so anyway.
Nice to have on a
Why
Sunday.
don't we quickly mention teething, and then in our next episode, we still have a lot that we could talk about that we've written down. So we'll do another one. But
we're
teething
really
is
good
a
at this
really
part
easy
2 thing.
Yes, part 2. We just talk too much, basically, is our problem.
We just get distracted. It's fine.
Okay, hands down, the best thing we have found for teething is actually a homeopathic remedy, but I didn't realize it when we first got it. It was just something that someone recommended to me because it was more natural. And then later on, when I was getting into homeopathy, I realized that what we were doing was a homeopathic remedy. And they are the Boiron, that same brand that I talked about before, the chamomilla, like teething drops, basically. And so they come in these little, like, plastic individual droppers, and you put it into baby's mouth, and it's kind of like a sweet, sugary taste to it. And then if they don't stop fussing after 15 minutes, you can give them another one. And then if they don't stop fussing after the next 15 minutes, I'm saying 1-5 just for clarity, 15 minutes, then you can give them another one. And again, there's no side effects to it. And for Malachi, we never had to do like more than 2. Usually it would help after the first one, but after 2, sometimes if it was really bad, we would do that. And I've given them to girlfriends whose babies are teething when they've been over at our house. I'm like, here, try this. And it's worked for their babies. And it's just worked for a lot of kids. And it was just something that was recommended to me by just a friend who was like, oh yeah, this one's natural and it's worked for our kids. So awesome. Yeah, we loved that. And so I highly recommend that. And it's really the only thing we did do. I think I did at one point try an essential oil one. I think it's clove. Clove oil is really good for, and maybe it's not clove now that I'm saying that. Maybe it is. I should probably look that back up. But I didn't write it down because we only tried it a couple times and I didn't feel like it worked for Malachi, but some people do like it. It's like an essential oil that's really good for teeth problems. And then you mix it with coconut oil and rub it on the gums. And it helps too if you have like a toothache or something like that. And I believe it's clove because it's really strong smelling too. So anyway, I just never felt like it worked. And Malachi was just trying to eat me when I was doing it. So I was like, this is just not that fun.
Also for teething,
the chamomile ones worked.
They have a bunch of, this isn't really homeopathy, but this is just like more natural ways to manage teething because the babies always want to bite on something. And so they sell like a silicone, I guess, pacifier looking thing that you can put like a frozen fruit or a frozen something into it. And then the baby gnaws on that, so it's cold on their gums. And then they're also getting like fruit or vegetable or whatever you have in there. And so it tastes yummy to them, but then it's cold and kind of ices their gums without icing their gums.
I totally forgot. We did do that for Malachi. He loved that. And I made breast milk popsicles actually for him. And he did like that. He loves popsicles way more now than he did. He couldn't quite figure it out super well when he was little. He liked it, but it wasn't probably as beneficial as it would be now once he starts getting molars, like his last set of molars or whatever. But anyway, that's all that I have for teething.
That's all I have for teething. I've never experienced it before. Other than myself, but I don't remember that.
Yeah, exactly. Ugh, I can imagine it's probably super painful, but I'm glad that I don't have memories
think of, like,
of that.
Wisdom teeth coming in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like I guess that's the adult version of teething. Not comfy.
Yeah, I guess so.
Anyways,
yeah, I mean, kids have their like one set of molars, and they usually get their other set once they're like more like bigger toddlers.
Oh, really?
I can't remember what age, like 4, I think, maybe. I don't know.
Didn't know that. All right. Anyways, stay tuned for part 2 of other childhood ailments and things that we can use homeopathy to treat. We're going to be talking about coughs, colds, earaches, allergies, things like that, and probably a few others that we come up with before that episode, because we always come up with new things like literally 2 seconds before the episode starts. So
yeah.
Come back in next week to listen to those homeopathy remedies and things like that. Until then, though, make sure you remember that whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for listening to Crunchy Stewardship.